Hi, Russell Davis here from MBA Link. As the former Associate Director of Admissions at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, I have seen thousands of MBA applications. I've seen some great ones, and I've seen some not so great ones. The not so great ones, many times the applicant had a strong profile, they just couldn't make a strong enough case for the admissions committee. Over this series of blogs, I will be sharing tips and advice on the MBA application process, as well as give you some insight into what it takes to put together a strong and compelling MBA application. Today's topic is going to be around application round strategy. You've done your research, you've put together your short list of schools, and you have determined what are the schools that you plan to apply to. You may have 4, 5, maybe even 6 schools that you're planning to apply to. Now you have to figure out that all-important question, in what rounds do you apply? Now, golden rule number 1, when you apply to competitive MBA programs, you do not apply until you can put together your strongest application possible. So you may be targeting round 1, but if you don't feel like that's going to be your strongest application, you haven't done all the research that you feel like you need to do, or your GMAT, it's not quite where it needs to be, and you're planning on retaking it, it doesn't matter. You don't get the choice. You want to make sure that you're applying at the round when your application is as strong as it can be. Rule number 2 is for international students. Many schools will encourage international students to apply by a certain round. If you're an international student, be sure to apply by that specific round that they ask. Typically, schools have anywhere from 2 to 4 rounds in which you can apply. Some schools have what they call an early decision or an early action round. Schools that have this round, typically what this means is if you apply in this round, it's because you have determined that that school is your number 1 choice. And it often means that they are going to call it a binding round, which means if you are admitted in that round, you are required to withdraw your applications from other schools. Typically, your deposit is due very quickly. So if that does not describe you, you should not be applying in those early rounds, that early decision or early action round. Now, the good news is, if you have determined that that school is exactly where you want to be, it's your number 1 choice, and you apply and you're admitted, fantastic, you are done. While everybody else you know in your MBA application world is still applying, you are done, because they also typically give you an early decision as well. Most schools have 2 rounds where they get the bulk of their applications. Round 1, round 2, maybe some schools with 4 rounds might have a 3rd round. But most of those schools with the 2 rounds, it's not a significant difference on which round you apply. That's where maybe 80 to 90% of their students are admitted. So it's more of a personal choice. 2 strategies that I typically see students take when it comes to determining what rounds do they want, what schools do they want to apply to in their first round, and then what schools do they want to apply to in their second round. Because it's not easy to put together 5 or 6 applications all in the first round and to really do the work that it takes to be successful. One approach is maybe you want to get that safety school under your belt. So you apply to at least one of your safety schools, maybe 2 safety schools, and you apply to maybe one of your competitive schools. And you want to get that admit under your belt, and then you're going to focus on that reach school or those more competitive schools in the later round. That's one approach. I've seen another approach where applicants want to apply to their number 1 choice, which is in many cases their reach school. They want to apply to that in their first round. And their hope is that if they get into that school in that first round, then they're done and they don't have to deal with any other applications. This is really a personal choice. For some, by going through that process, doing it with their safety school, it makes them feel like I've gone through the process, I've been successful, I understand how it works, so now I'm going to really focus on my reach school in the second round or my most competitive schools. And again, for others, it's just a simple case of I want to apply to as few schools as possible. So I'm going to attack my most competitive and reach schools, the schools that I really want to be at in that first round. Personal choice, there's no right answer, It's whatever your preference is. I've always told MBA applicants that the whole process of applying to business school, from the start of the application process to getting that final job post-graduation, it's an exercise in getting comfortable with uncertainty. There's uncertainty around what schools you're going to get into. There's uncertainty around what's that internship going to look like, and there's uncertainty around what's my final job going to look like. The more relaxed you can be in this process, the more comfortable you can be with this uncertainty, I have seen in my experience, the more successful you are going to be. So when you're approaching your rounds and which schools to apply to, try to take an approach that puts you in your most comfortable situation and takes the most pressure off of you. That's my advice for trying to figure out what rounds might be the best rounds for you. Going back to rule number 1, as you think about when to apply, most importantly, you apply when you can put together the strongest MBA applications. The MBA application process is an exercise in self-reflection and discovery. Let MBA Link tell you why you deserve a top MBA program, and let MBA Link show you how to put together a strong and compelling application. If you're interested in hearing more tips or connecting with me, please visit us at mymbalink.com. And best of luck as you continue to pursue your MBA dreams.